I am Nadia Azmi and this is Nightline. News making the headlines. Malaysia's inflation rate is the lowest in Southeast Asia. And government approves tracking system on UNHCR card holders. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Alsultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah on Saturday called on Alsultan Abdullah Hospital at University Technology Mara UiTM Puncak Alam to develop its own healthcare approaches and vaccines to face future challenges. His Majesty, who is also UiTM's Chancellor, expressed hope that the hospital's new approaches would be able to raise the profile of the medical centre and bring benefit to the local community.
Saya harap perjalanan hospital ini akan terus ditingkatkan dari masa ke semasa, khususnya apabila kita memberi perkhidmatan kepada masyarakat setempat ataupun masyarakat dari luar sekalipun, supaya nama hospital ini dan nama hospital UiTM ini akan lebih terselah, menyelah dan terus memberi satu kesan yang baik kepada masyarakat setempat.
His Majesty said this at the official launch of Alsultan Abdullah Hospital at UiTM Puncak Alam in Selangor on Saturday. Also present were Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria, Sultan of Selangor Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah and Tengku Permaisuri of Selangor Tengku Permaisuri Nur Ashikin. Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari, Finance Minister Datuk Seri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, Higher Education Minister Datuk Seri Nur Aini Ahmad and UiTM Vice Chancellor Professor Datuk Dr. Roziah Muhammad Janor were also in attendance. Touched and deeply moved that the hospital was named after him, the King said it would always be close to his heart, though its location in Selangor is quite a distance away. The hospital started its operation on April 5, 2021, with services available in stages, including the Medical Specialist Clinic, Women and Children Specialist Clinic, Surgical and Orthopedic Specialist Clinic, and Psychiatry Specialist Clinic. Located on a 18.6-hectare site, the building design of the 400-bed hospital is inspired by the unique molecular structure of Zamzam water. Malaysia's inflation rate is the lowest in Southeast Asia. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this is due to the government continuing to provide subsidies amounting to 77 billion ringgit for the benefit of the people.
Kenaikan harga jagung bijiran dan baja serta kenaikan kos logistik telah menyebabkan peningkatan harga barangan yang menyaksikan kadar inflasi juga meningkat tinggi. Namun begitu, Malaysia masih mengalami nilai inflasi pada kadar terendah di Asia Tenggara. Hasil usaha berterusan kerajaan menanganinya.
Speaking at the opening of the Kelantan Aspirasi Keluarga Malaysia tour in Kota Baru on Saturday, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri added that the Bantuan Keluarga Malaysia is the largest cash aid in the nation's history with an allocation of 8.2 billion ringgit. He said despite the global economic uncertainty and geopolitical crisis, as well as global climate change that has had an impact on the cost of living for Malaysian families, the government is making continuous efforts to address the issue and is providing subsidies amounting to 77 billion ringgit to keep the country at the lowest inflation rate in Southeast Asia. The Prime Minister said the government always listens to the grievances of Keluarga Malaysia over the increase in the prices of goods, especially food. And to address this, it will be spending 1.1 billion ringgit on chicken and egg subsidies and 4 billion ringgit for cooking oil in packets. The Prime Minister also reiterated the government's commitment to overcoming the poverty rate in Kelantan through various initiatives. He said this includes an allocation of 124 million ringgit for the 590,000 Bantuan Keluarga Malaysia BKM aid recipients in the state. To ensure that the economy in Kelantan is fully mobilised, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said Tok Bali is targeted to become a new growth centre in contributing towards reaching an investment target of 2.3 billion ringgit. with 4,200 new jobs and 270 entrepreneurial opportunities.
Bagi memastikan ekonomi di negeri Kelantan ini digerakkan sepenuhnya, Tok Bali disasarkan menjadi pusat pertumbuhan baru menerusi insentif cukai khas serta projek berimpak tinggi yang dilaksanakan oleh Majlis Pembangunan Wilayah Ekonomi Pantai Timur ataupun ECRDC, iaitu Taman Industri Tok Bali ataupun TBIP, Taman Perikanan Bersepadu Tok Bali TBIFP, dan infrastruktur luaran bagi pelabuhan Tok Bali.
He said the government will also build a multi-purpose digital complex with a sports entertainment concept involving a cost of 6 million ringgit at a 23-hectare site in Ketere. In the meantime, the Rural Development Ministry has allocated 2.6 billion ringgit for 88 projects in Kelantan, 64 of them extension projects and 24 new projects. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri added that Kelantan will also benefit from the East Coast Rail Link Project ECRL, which will connect Kota Baru to Port Klang, as well as have 2 stations, which are the passenger and cargo station in Pasir Puteh and the passenger station in Tunjung, Kota Baru. Meanwhile, the Sultan Ismail Petra Airport upgrading project, which is expected to be completed in 2025, will be able to accommodate passenger capacity from 1.5 million to 4 million per year, while the construction of the Palitpang Bridge in Tumpat, scheduled to be completed in 2025, will be a catalyst for new development in the state. At the event, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also launched the Ketere Digital Hub, which will help local entrepreneurs further expand their markets throughout the country and the world through digital platforms. The ceremony was also attended by Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economy Datuk Sri Mustafa Muhammad, and Chief Secretary to the Government Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali. The Ketere Digital Hub would enable entrepreneurs and small traders selected from the Keluarga Malaysia Digital Economy Centres to get trainings in producing content and exposure using online platforms that allow access to the global market. The Prime Minister also launched 5G technology, which saw Ketere being selected as Malaysia's first rural location for high-speed internet service pilot project. In conjunction with the Kelantan Aspirasi Keluarga Malaysia tour, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also took part in a program known as Bedwoh, or Large Feast, which was attended by some 5,000 people. The Cabinet has approved the adoption of the Tracking Refugees Information System, TRIS, on all United Nations High Commission for Refugees UNHCR card holders in Malaysia. Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin said UNHCR card holders in the country must register with TRIS to identify the whereabouts of refugees and their reporting to the country.
Apabila kita dah daftarkan kedudukan mereka, kita tahu mana mereka tinggal. Jadi kita akan memastikan bahawa selepas ini sesiapa saja yang mahu bekerja ataupun mahu melakukan sesuatu akan kita pertingkatkan melalui polisi-polisi yang akan diluluskan oleh Majlis Keselamatan Negara.
Datuk Seri Hamzah said this at a media conference after attending the Hari Kita Demi Negara Northern Zone Town Hall session organised by the Home Ministry in Batu Kurau, Perak on Saturday. He added the implementation of TRIS has been handed over to a company which, among others, was to ensure that the data of all refugees, especially the location of their residence, is known. The Larut Member of Parliament also revealed that TRIS had undergone trials for several years before it was given the approval to be implemented on a large scale. The database system was introduced to streamline the process of management and profile together with the process of data collection, registration, keeping profile, analysis and reporting for the government in relation to the status of UNHCR card holders. It is estimated that the country had received nearly 180,000 refugees from various countries. The government is conducting forensic audits of all companies licensed to package subsidised cooking oil to ensure that none of them are involved in smuggling activities. Special Task Force on Jihad Against Inflation Chairman Tan Sri Anwar Musa said checks will be carried out to monitor the amount of raw material production and to analyse whether the methods currently used can be improved or revamped. He stressed that if all parties do not cooperate and the subsidised cooking oil smuggling activities continue to happen, the government will revamp the entire cooking oil subsidy supply system. However, this approach has not been taken as the government needs to investigate the matter thoroughly. Tan Sri Anwar also said that he will never allow a system that is too lax and will cause leakages as it will cause the people to suffer. He added that the government has spent 4 billion ringgit to maintain the subsidy for cooking oil in 1 kilogram packets, so it will not be fair for the people if the cooking oil is smuggled and sold in the neighbouring countries. More local updates later in the Buletin. But first, after this short break, Thailand PM survives another no-confidence vote. Don't go away. Foreign news. Thailand's Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has survived a no-confidence vote in Parliament on Saturday in his last major test ahead of a general election, and that is due in less than a year. The 68-year-old received 256 votes in favour and 206 against, with 9 abstentions, securing his position as Prime Minister until his term ends in March. The Prime Minister and 10 cabinet members underwent 4 days of grilling live on television from an opposition that accused them of corruption and economic mismanagement in an effort to discredit the ruling 17-party coalition before the next polls. The opposition had needed more than 239 of the 477 parliamentary votes to oust the Prime Minister. However, Chan-o-cha with other 10 ministers have survived the censure motion owing to the ruling coalition government's majority in Parliament. It was the 4th time Chan-o-cha's performance in office had been put to a vote since he was chosen by the House to remain Prime Minister in 2019, following an election the opposition said was held under rules designed to keep him in power. Chan-o-cha has given no indication of when the next election will be called. Steve Bannon, a key associate of former U.S. President Donald Trump and an influential figure on the American right, was convicted on Friday of contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena from the committee investigating last year's attack on the U.S. Capitol. Bannon, who led Trump's 2016 presidential election campaign, was among hundreds of people called by a House of Representatives committee to address the storming of Congress by Trump supporters on January 6, 2021. The 68-year-old Republican strategist did not appear on the summons date or provide requested documents and was indicted on 2 charges of contempt of Congress. The 12-person jury deliberated for less than 3 hours before finding Bannon guilty of both misdemeanor charges. Bannon, who served as Trump's strategy chief at the White House before being sacked in 2017, faces a minimum of 30 days in jail and a maximum sentence of a year for each count. The sentencing was set for October 21st. UIT reached second final of the year. Sports coming up next. Badminton, the 2022 Taiwan Open. National men's doubles Man Wei Chong T Kai Woon remained on track for their second title of the year as they claimed a spot in the final after beating Taiwan's duo in the last four on Saturday. Facing Su Ching Heng, Ye Hong Wei, Man and T needed 36 minutes to record a 21-13, 22-20 win, their first victory over the Taiwanese pair. The national pair will next play another Taiwanese duo, Li Yang, Wang Qilin, in Sunday's final. Man and T had won the Indian International Championship last January for their first trophy of 2022. Moving on to athletics, a World Athletics Championship. The U.S. contingent continued their domination as Michael Norman and Sydney McLaughlin claimed the gold medals in their respective events. American 400-meter star Norman raced through the finish line with 44.29 seconds, followed by Kirani James of Grenada, who earned silver in 44.48 seconds, and Britain's Matthew Hudson-Smith with the bronze. Earlier, Norman's compatriot Sydney McLaughlin broke the 400 meters hurdles world record, clocking 50.68 seconds to win her first World Championship gold medal. Femke Bol of Netherlands took the silver medal with the season's best 52.27 seconds, and the bronze went to another American, Dalila Muhammad, with the result of his season's best 53.13 seconds. Meanwhile, Bahamas' Shawnee Miller-Wibo dominated the race of women's 400 meters to win her first world outdoor title in 49.11 seconds. Marilady Paulino from the Dominican Republic finished with the silver behind Miller-Wibo in 49.6 seconds, with the bronze going to Sada Williams of Barbados, who became the first woman from her country to win a World Athletics Championships medal. In the women's javelin event, Australia clinched the second gold medal by Kelsey Lee Barber as she broke the world record with a distance of 66.91 meters. Local thrower Kara Winger took the silver with 64.06 meters, and Japan's Haruka Kitaguchi won the bronze with a mark of 63.27 meters. Coming up after this short break, a former bank CEO arrested over 24 million ringgit bribe. Stay tuned. A former bank CEO with a Datuk title has been remanded for 3 days from Saturday by the Putrajaya Magistrates Court to assist investigations into a corruption case involving bribes amounting to 24 million ringgit. The remand order against the suspect in his 50s was issued by Magistrate R. Parabakaran following an application by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC. According to sources, the man was arrested at his home in Ipoh, Perak at about 4 p.m. on Friday. It was believed that the bribes were given as gratification for approving a loan of more than 294 million ringgit applied by a local company 10 years ago. He is the fourth individual arrested by the MACC in relation to the case. The other three included a female CEO who was arrested a few days earlier and whose remand order was extended for 3 days from Saturday. Also arrested were two men, aged 53 and 58, who had been released on bail of 15,000 ringgit each. It was understood that the MACC investigation team managed to recover almost all of the money amounting to 24 million ringgit through seizures of money and assets, including 16.3 million ringgit belonging to the main suspect, which was kept in a neighbouring country. The graftbuster had also frozen 22 bank accounts involving 6.3 million ringgit belonging to individuals and companies believed to be related to the case. The case is being investigated under the MACC Act. In Perak, a family of 5 were killed when 2 others were seriously injured in an accident involving 2 vehicles on the East-West Expressway near Banjaran Titi Wangsa on Saturday. Police said all 5 victims, including a child, died on the spot when the crash occurred at 3:40 p.m. The deceased were identified as 58-year-old Muhammad Rodi Othman, his wife 59-year-old Sharifah Rohana Said Sagav, and their daughter Siti Aisyah, aged 32. Also killed was Siti Aisyah's husband, Ahmad Khomeini Abu, who was in his 30s, and their 5-year-old daughter, Zara Hana. The family was travelling in the Perodua Alza when it collided with a Toyota Hilux. Firemen deployed to the scene had to use special equipment to extricate the victims pinned in the wreckage. The bodies were then taken to Jeli Hospital in Kelantan for post-mortem. The 2 injured victims were also brought to the same hospital for treatment. The cause of the accident is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Numbers of monkeypox cases have been increasing across the globe, especially in European and North American countries. It has now spread to Singapore, with the second local case recorded on July 13th, sending a strong alarm to neighbouring countries, including Malaysia. With the WHO declaring it a global emergency on Saturday, the question is, are we prepared to face another wave of pandemic? Our intern, Nevelin Majil, files in his report.
Monkeypox is spread through close contact with people, animals, or material infected with the virus. Human-to-human transmission is believed to occur through respiratory droplets, requiring prolonged face-to-face contact. The disease usually begins with symptoms similar to the flu, including fever, headache, muscle aches, chills, exhaustion, and swollen lymph nodes. Within 1 to 3 days of the onset of fever, patient will develop a rash that begins on the face and spreads to the body parts. According to infectious disease specialist Dr. Yasmin Ghani, the monkeypox can spread either in direct or direct contact between 2 people with contaminated clothing.
Sometimes the spread is also via fomites. And when the fomites are disturbed, then they spread into the air. That way, they can also be inhaled and they may be spread by droplet precautions. Monkeypox, it generally needs a significant amount of exposure time within like 6 feet apart in about 3 hours of exposure before someone is actually at high risk of getting monkeypox. So that's how it can actually spread.
For the presidents of Malaysian Medical Associations, Dr. Koh Ka Chai, the spread of monkeypox must not be taken lightly. He stressed that the health ministry has taken precaution measures to prepare themselves in the event of the virus spreading into Malaysia.
Monkeypox cases will need to be quarantined until the rashes have healed. The Minister of Health has taken measures to be prepared in the event of a worldwide spread of monkeypox. We must all be aware of this disease, but it should not be treated like COVID-19. There is a specific vaccine for it, and the current smallpox vaccine works too, but they are not readily available as smallpox has been eradicated and monkeypox was rarely seen previously.
Dr. Koh also urged Malaysians to be vigilant and gather as much knowledge as possible on the disease as it is still relatively rare. Monkeypox is a zoonotic disease caused by an orthopox virus, which results in a smallpox-like disease in humans. It was first discovered in animals in 1958 when 2 outbreaks occurred in captive monkey colonies kept for research purposes in Copenhagen, Denmark. Since the disease in humans was initially diagnosed in 1970 in Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, in a 9-year-old boy, it has spread to other regions of Africa, and cases outside Africa emerged in recent years. The World Health Organization (WHO) reported over 2,103 laboratory confirmed cases, 1 probable case, and 1 death from 42 countries in 5 WHO regions between January 1st and June 15, 2022. The disease is mainly known for its characteristics rashes that appear on the face, palms of hands, and soles of feet, which can also sometimes spread other body parts. Confirmed cases have been reported from African region with percentage of 3%, the regions of the Americas 12%, while Eastern Mediterranean regions and Western Pacific regions with less than 1%. The majority, 84% of confirmed cases, are from the WHO European regions. Evidence of monkeypox virus infections has been found in animals including squirrels, Gambian portraits, dormice, different species of monkeys, and others. Although further research about the transmissions of the strain responsible for the 2022 outbreak is ongoing, Malaysians should not take the matter for granted and be extra vigilant to ensure the disease does not cause another pandemic in the country. Nevin Majil for Nightline TV3.
Elon Musk's SpaceX on Friday broke its record for the number of rockets launched in a calendar year, topping last year's state of 31 missions amid a whirlwind campaign to launch its own internet satellites into orbit. SpaceX's 32nd launch of 2022 using its workhorse Falcon 9 rocket comes as the company races to build a constellation of broadband satellites called Starlink, a largely consumer-based service with hundreds of thousands of internet users. Let's take a look at the launch as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for tuning in and have a restful Sunday.